Hello, hello. We are back for part two of our Ginger Jean So Long. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes for everyone to get in. I made some mistakes yesterday that I'm going to show and how to fix them. Hello, hello. All right, we are moving on with our Ginger Jean So Long. And before we jump in, I'm going to show some mistakes that I made, okay, and how to fix it. So those of you that are tuning in, type in the chat where you're from, like what state are you watching from? Type in the chat and let me know. Oh, Young Chance, welcome. Florida. That's what's up. That's my stomping ground. Florida, although I'm from Miami, but I will say that Orlando is much better. Much better. The Orlando area is much better than South Florida. So welcome, welcome. All right. I was holding on, trying to wait for everyone from last night because I don't want anyone to miss it. Angel, are you there? I don't want Angel to miss this part either. But everybody can watch the replay too. Everybody can watch the replay as well. I'm going to show you guys some mistakes that I made and how I fixed it. Okay, so let's take a look. All right. You see here where we stopped yesterday. We stopped at this section right here where we were about to attach the fly. But in watching the chat, talking to everyone, looking at all the things, I didn't pay attention to a mistake. You all remember, everybody that was on yesterday remembers that I was saying, let me make sure the pocket stay is right. Let me make sure that the pocket stay is correct. It's not the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. I kept saying it because I knew it was wrong. I felt that it was wrong because, like I said, I made these pants last week. So I knew the pocket stay was off, but in keeping up with time and being live, this is the joys of live sewing, right? These are the joys of sewing live. Being live, I didn't allow myself to stop and actually pay attention and look. And so I did have those pocket stays wrong. I kept saying it. I kept saying, let me look, let me, flip it. I showed you all how to pin baste your bottom and kind of walk through the steps. I did all that knowing something was off, and I didn't stop long enough to look at it. So I found it as soon as I turned the camera off, I saw it. So I'm going to show you guys what went wrong and how to fix it. So right here in our instructions, if you have the book, you'll see on page 10, it shows you even how to place your pocket stay, right? You can see how to place the pocket stay. I had the opening of my pocket stay this way when originally it should have been wrong sides together. Wrong sides together. So when we looked at the jeans yesterday, when we got ready to make our fly, the pocket stay, you will notice on yesterday's video, there was this line of stitching. The seam allowance was showing this way, and it's not supposed to show. You are supposed to have the finished edge. Your seam allowance is on the inside. So when you do your pocket stay, follow just like the instructions. It is wrong sides together. This picture here is wrong sides together. Wrong sides together. Then you flip your pocket stay around to the front and you attach the wrong side, which is going to be right here, to the actual jean. Okay, so that was a mistake I made. As you can see, I took the jeans apart and went ahead and fixed that. So took everything off and redid it so that it's done the right way and I can show you the right way. So your pocket stay. Hey, everybody coming in, Twitch and YouTube. Hi, guys. Okay, so if you're just tuning in, Angel, are you there? I want to make sure you see this. Holler at me in the chat if you're there, Angel, because I want to make sure that you don't miss this. Those of you that are just tuning in, if you're just coming in, drop in the chat what state you're from. We got Young Chance watching from Florida. Welcome. And tell me what state you're tuning in from, YouTube and Twitch. Okay, I was just saying that on last night's tutorial, because I'm live and I'm paying attention to the chat and talking and all of that, I didn't pay attention to the fact that I had my pocket stay backwards. And I kept saying, let me double check. For those of you that are just coming in, I kept saying, let me double check, make sure the pocket stay is right, because my lining fabric looks the same on both sides. So it's very hard to tell wrong side from right side. So if you are a newbie, hey, Nicole, if you are a newbie, make sure, Dory B, welcome back. Glad to see you. Dory B, pay attention to this because this is a mistake that I made yesterday. If you are a newbie sewing, you want to make sure that when you are using your pocket lining, get a fabric that has an obvious right and wrong side, okay? And then once you are more skilled, Jersey, what's up, Jersey? Once you're more skilled, then you can do this here. But as you can see, even when you're skilled, you make a mistake. I had this pocket stay on backwards yesterday. So you guys will notice that if you look at yesterday's tutorial, the raw edge was right here, okay? Raw edge was showing right here. Your raw edge should be on the inside, not on the outside. So I had the raw edge on the outside, right? And it should have been on the inside. However, if you happen to make a mistake like I did, if you make a mistake like that, you don't have to do what I did. I took the pants all the way apart and I did them over. Top stitching, everything came apart and I did them over so I can show you guys the right way. But if you happen to make that mistake, no big deal. All you have to do, if you've got those raw edges right here, you're going to either take your pinking shears, like I told you yesterday, take your pinking shears and finish that raw edge, or you can do the overcast stitch, which is what we're doing here. Hey, Angel. Angel, I am talking about the mistake I made yesterday. You can do the overcast stitch on that edge, okay? Or you can serge it. So you don't have to take the pants apart like I did, okay? You can just finish that raw edge, no problem. But I took the pants apart and redid it so I can show y'all the right way. your pocket stay, your pocket lining, that raw edge should not be on the outside. You flip it, you lay your pocket stay and that pattern piece D wrong sides together. Then flip it. And when you flip it, it'll show like you see, just like the picture. It is going to look just like the picture. That's another thing for my newbies. When you're sewing, pay attention to the picture on the pattern. Okay, pay attention to the picture on the pattern. Your fabric, your garment should look like the picture on the pattern. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was we stopped right here yesterday, right? So I showed you all how to do a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance coming from, and you can see my stitching line right there, right? Coming from the top edge of the fly and stopping at the dot. Then I curved and did this section. That was incorrect. I was going off of memory and just moving fast, and because I made the pants before, and yeah, I know what it's supposed to look like. Listen, pay attention to the pattern. And it even shows you clearly in the pictures, and I still did it wrong. Look, it shows you which way to go. You are going this way. I went this way. So I took the stitches out and did it the right way. Remember, this is for our fly. This is our basting stitch. What you're going to do is take a ruler, give yourself a guideline, and draw a straight line down to the dot. The dot is right here where we clipped. Remember, we clipped right here yesterday. So you're going to go down to that dot. All right. Then go ahead and finish that bottom seam allowance. Okay. So that's the second mistake that I made yesterday. I came around using a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I should not have done that. That made the seam allowance too small. And that's why when I was pressing it opened like only like this. And I'm looking at it like, that don't look right. But it's because I followed this way, and you're supposed to come straight down here with your basting stitch and then put your machine back on your regular stitch length right here, 2.5, and go ahead and sew the rest of the way down. So from the dot to the top of the pant is a basting stitch. From the dot down is your regular stitch. And now we continue. So we're going to continue. We press our fly open. You can see already how much bigger the fly is compared to when we ended yesterday. When I pressed it open, it was like that. You can't put a zipper in there. Okay, so the fly is open. We have just finished this part of the instructions right here. We've pressed this part of our instructions right here. Hey, Monica. We've pressed this part of our instructions right here. And now we're over here to top stitching. So let's go on, picking up from last night. So here's our pocket stays finished. Here's the front of our pant. Okay. And we are going to be top stitching right here. So remember, I am sewing like my newbie friends, and I'm only using one machine. And so I've got to change my machine over now so that I can put my top stitching thread in it. Okay. Those of you, like I said, that have multiple machines, you want to set another machine up if you like to do your top stitching, just because it makes things a lot easier. You don't have to necessarily go back and forth like I am. All right, so I'm getting my top stitching thread put in, and we are going to top stitch the left side of our pant. Anybody have any questions while I'm getting the thread set up? Any questions? Nope. All right. If so, go ahead and type them in while we sew. All right, let me show you. You see our instructions here tell us you're going to turn the pants right side facing up, and we're going to sew 2 rows of stitching, top stitching, along the entire length of the center front seam on the left leg, making sure that we only catch the left fly extension, and then we're going to press. Okay, so 2 rows of top stitching down the entire left side, which is going to be for us here. Okay, 2 rows of stitching on this side, and we want to make sure that we are only catching this fly extension. So everything's pressed nice and flat. We're only going to catch this part of our fly extension. So now, just like yesterday, I am going to use my little trick for top stitching to get nice even top stitching on both sides. All right, let's get the camera at a good angle for y'all. There we go. So we're going to top stitch. The first thing I'm going to do is keep the edge. Let's see, am I going to do this side or this side? I'm going to do this side. So I'm going to keep that little center seam, this little center seam here lined up. Can y'all see that? Let me see if we get closer. This little center seam here lined up with this inside groove of my presser foot so that I can get an even stitch. And remember, you're top stitching. You just want to take your time, go slow. Okay, look at that. See that? All right, I told you it happens. My your top stitching thread is thicker than your regular thread, and sometimes it will jam your machine. When that happens, just pull everything out like I'm doing. Get your, it'll create a bird's nest that looks like this on the bottom. Get your seam ripper, and you're just going to pick it out and do it again, okay? Depending on how bad that bird's nest is, sometimes you got to take your bobbin out and redo it. It just depends. Sometimes you got to reset your machine. My machine is flashing an error symbol, so I'll have to reset it, possibly reset it if it doesn't want to act right. And that just happens sometimes with the thickness of top stitching thread. So if that happens to you, don't be alarmed. Like I showed you yesterday, turn your hand crank back and forth, pull that, get that thread out, bird's nest out, reset and start again. So I got a piece of scrap here. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put the scrap underneath and do a tester on my scrap. And let's see if she's going to behave. All right. She seems to be acting right. So let's try it again. And like I said, don't be alarmed. Do not be alarmed if that happens to you as you're sewing. If your machine gets wonky with the top stitching thread, you can clearly see here. Take a look. You can clearly see here how much thicker the top stitching thread is with your than your regular thread. This is my bobbin. This is the top stitching. You can clearly see how much thicker it is, okay? Sometimes, depending on your machine, sometimes you have to adjust your tension, okay? So when you're using top stitching thread or much thicker thread, play with the tension on your machine. See what works on your machine, you know, tension-wise. What does your machine like when you are using that thicker thread? All right, she seems to be feeling a little bit better. Again, I am keeping the seam lined up with that center groove right here on my presser foot for my top stitching. I'm gently spreading, you know, pushing the fabric apart so that my stitching stays nice and flat and only on my my fly extension. If you want, you can kind of stop and flip over put your hand under and make sure that that fly is not wonky or crushed and you know, splitting both sides. Angel said she had to increase the tension last night. Yep, depending on your machine, you will have to do that. On my previous machine before this one, jeans is the only time I had to ever adjust the tension. Only time. I had to put the tension on that machine. I had to put the tension all the way up to an 8. And it was only when I was sewing jeans. Any other time, I never had to touch it at all. The top thread was showing through the bottom. Yeah. Yep. So you had to adjust that tension. So as we're coming close to the bottom here, which is where that kind of curve is, I'm just kind of holding it with my hand. Gonna lay the pant leg all the way out flat, just to make sure that my stitches stay the way I want them. This little piece here, I want to make sure that it's facing the left leg and everything just stays nice and even. Again, top stitching, go slow, no need to rush. All right, get down to that bottom, you're gonna back stitch. I don't use my thread cutter when using top stitching thread because that definitely causes the machine to jam. When you use, at least on my machine, when you use that thread cutter when top stitching. Okay, now look at this. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. Pretty, right? And all of my newbies, you can do it too. Okay. Remember, top stitching, you're going to increase your stitch length. I personally like a 3.5. So this is a 3.5 stitch. I did not do anything different. I didn't change my presser foot, although you can change your presser foot if you like, and you can use a presser foot that is designed for edge stitching and to help you get nice, straight, even stitches. But for those that do not have that, don't have that foot, don't have access to it, I'm showing you that you don't necessarily need it. You can use your regular presser foot to create a beautiful stitch. All right. So there's our first. Thank you, Monica. It's pretty, right? There's our first row of stitching. Remember, we are doing 2 rows of top stitching. See our instructions here? Let's get it in focus. There we go. See our instructions here? 2 rows of top stitching. That's our first row. We're going to go ahead now, put this back under the machine, set up for our second row of top stitching. And what I'm going to do is put the stitches right outside of my presser foot. Okay, so you see here, I'm going to use this outside of my presser foot as my guide and just sew my second row. Oh, I forgot to backstitch. Did y'all see that? Okay, I'm going to show you how we fix that at the end. If you forget to backstitch, just keep going and you can go back over it at the end. Again, the key to perfect stitching is to watch your seam allowance guide, whatever that may be. For me, it's going to be the edge of this presser foot, keeping these stitches lined up against the edge of the presser foot. If you watch your needle, you will have crooked stitches every time. You do not watch the needle when you sew. You watch your seam allowance guide. Okay, YouTube, I'm going to stop for a second because my Twitch friends are on an ad and we don't want them to miss anything. So I'll stop talking for a moment till they come back. All righty. So we're going to go ahead and cut all of our loose threads. Twitch, are you guys back? Let me know. You're back. Okay, excellent. Yes, Monica, or you guys, just let me, anybody on Twitch, just let me know when you guys get an ad so you don't miss anything. Okay, you're going to switch to YouTube, Monica? No problem. Yeah, there's no ads on YouTube. Okay, so I just did all of the top stitching and I cut my loose threads. And so you can see here just how beautiful that looks. Take a look at that, y'all. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful top stitching. Okay. Again, for my newbies, this is a 3.5 stitch. Okay. Beautiful top stitching. You want to increase your stitch length. All right. Make it as long as you possibly can, or to your liking, not as long as you possibly can, because that's going to be a basting stitch, but you're going to increase your stitch length to your liking. Some like a 3.0, some like 4.0. 4.5. It just depends. Take a scrap, a swatch, make some stitches and see, okay, what you like. So I personally like a 3.5. This is a 3.5, and I like the width of using the edge of my presser foot. When I don't feel like changing my presser foot out and using an edge stitch foot, I just use the edge of the presser foot as my guide to get nice even rows. Now, I told you guys that I didn't back stitch up here. Now, technically, there's really no need for me to do that because we're going to end up sewing on top of this 5/8 with our waistband and all that. But if you ever make that mistake like I did, all you're going to do is go right back to the machine, put your work right under the machine, line up that needle. So let's get low. All right, and let's get in focus. All right, so you see how I'm looking right here? I'm looking at my stitch and I'm looking at my needle and I'm making sure that I place my needle right in line with that stitch. See the needle down there? And then I can simply lower my presser foot and start sewing, or you can go a little bit ahead, bring the fabric a little bit ahead, make sure that that needle is going to sit directly on the stitch like that. Do a quick sew forward and then back stitch. And now you see I just added the back stitch. Okay, so that's how you can fix back stitching on your work if you forget to do it. So I'm going to cut any loose threads, any of the chunky bird's nest pieces that sit underneath the back stitching on top stitching thread like these, because I just went back over it. I'm going to thin all that out and pull out all the unnecessary pieces. Then we're going to move on. Questions while I'm doing this? Any questions? Angel, you good? All right. You good. All right. Anybody, is there anybody else that is sewing jeans with me? If so, let me know so I can check on you as well and make sure you're good. All right. So we've got our top stitching on the front panel complete, which is this right here. Now we're getting ready to attach our zipper. Our pattern tells us to turn the pants so that the wrong side is facing up. Lay the zipper. Can you all see that? Lay the zipper face down on the right fly extension along the center front seam so that the left edge of the zipper tape aligns with the center front seam, and the bottom of the zipper tape will stop 3/4 of an inch from the bottom on the right fly extension. Okay. If the zipper is too long, it can be trimmed when we do the waistband. It gives you a little note up here, and it says that zippers come in a variety of widths. If you're using a really wide zipper, the zipper may end up being set too far in if you align the edge as the edge of the zipper tape as your guide. You want it to be no more than a 1/2 inch between the center front seam and the zipper teeth. So that is how you can gauge your zipper to make sure it's going to be good. You don't want that edge of that zipper tape. So here's your zipper tape. This is your zipper tape. You don't want the edge of the zipper tape to be more than a 1/2 inch from the center seam to the zipper teeth. And I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay. So we're going to attach this to the wrong side of our pant and on the left fly extension. Remember, this pattern tells us that when they reference left and right, they are talking about the way we wear the pants, the way we wear it. So technically, as I'm looking at the pant right now, this is the left leg, this is the right leg. When I flip it over and put it on my body, this is going to be over here, okay? So we're going to flip this to the wrong side, okay? And we are going to, according to the instructions, lay our zipper face down. So here is face down. Here is face up. Here is face down. We are going to lay our zipper on the left side of the zipper, on the right fly extension. The right fly extension is this side. And remember, I told you, it always gives you a picture. Here's our picture. It's showing us what to do. Okay. So we're going to lay our zipper on the right fly extension. Now, I also just showed you what they said about making sure that you don't have your zipper tape be more than 1/2 inch from the center seam, which is going to be right here, to the zipper teeth. So let's lay it up against the center seam like it instructed us to do. There's our center seam, zipper tape laying directly up against it. If we measure, we're exactly 1/2 inch, so we're good. See that? Here's my 1/2 inch line right in the middle of the zipper teeth. So we're good. We're going to go ahead and pin our zipper to the right side of our fly extension. Now, I like to stop with the zipper stoppers. So this is a zipper stopper. Those little metal bars right there, that's a stopper. Okay. I like to stop with the stopper right at the top. All this excess I can cut off later. That's just how I like to do it. You can lay it however you prefer. So we're going to lay our zipper right smack dab on that center seam, and we're going to pin. Make sure you are not pinning the pant. Okay? Make sure you're not pinning the pant, only the fly extension. Okay? So let's start pinning this in place. When I'm doing a zipper, I kind of like to pin it either this way or this way so I can pull it out easy. Normally, I like to go down so I can pull it out as I go. I want to make sure that I keep this right on the edge of that center seam. And this is a denim needle, so this is going to be a little bit thicker than the regular denim zipper. It's going to be a little bit thicker than the regular zippers that we put in a pair of pants. So you might need to be a little bit careful pushing those pins in so you don't stick yourself. Because these zippers make you work a little bit. All right. And so I've got my last pin down here by my zipper stop at the bottom. Remember, I told you the zipper stop is that metal bar. Here's the bottom zipper stop, and then the top zipper stops are up there. I've got the zipper sitting right next to this edge here, and we are going to stitch on the right side. Okay, so looking at our instructions, you're going to pin the zipper in place. We're going to use a zipper foot and sew the right side of the zipper to the fly extension close to the zipper teeth, making sure we sew only the fly extension. We're going to keep the legs tucked out of the way as we sew. So we are back to getting rid of our top stitching thread, going back to our regular thread. So we're rethreading the machine with that regular thread. And making sure that you put your machine back on a regular stitch length as well. All right, so we are threaded. And now I'm going to switch my presser feet. I'm going to take off my regular foot. I'm going to put on my zipper foot. Okay, so switch out your feet. And then you're ready to go. Now, I got everything set up. I'm going to go ahead and lay my jean right up underneath my zipper foot, making sure that I am only stitching the fly extension. So I'm going to raise the camera just in a second so you can see. You see my pant leg out of the way. That right pant leg is out of the way, gone. Okay, we are only stitching on the fly extension. See that? Just the fly extension. Okay. All right. So I'm making sure that my needle, okay, y'all take a look at this, that my needle is going to work on my zipper foot. But look, I'm hitting that metal bar. So I need to move my needle over to the left so that it goes in this little hole right here. Make sure before you start sewing, you make sure that your needle will clear. You're welcome, Monica. Will clear that opening. All right. So now I'm ready. I'm going to drop my presser foot. You might have to hand crank the first few because I've got that metal zipper pull in the way. So I'm doing it by hand just to clear that. You see how that? You saw how it just cleared it? So I did several stitches by hand just to make sure it cleared it. And now I'll press the foot pedal, but I'm gonna go real slow just to make sure. That's up. Look, I did it. Look. Did you see that back stitch? I back stitch and my needle repositioned itself and hit the bar. Okay, if that happens, you don't panic. It's not the end of the world. Raise up. See the tip of the needle broke right there? Raise up. Pull everything out. Cut. Pull out the broken tip, your excess thread. This is going to give y'all a good instruction on how to change your needle if you don't know how to do that. When I pressed that back stitch button, my needle repositioned itself. All right, so I've got that thread out. We're going to change our needle. So let me pull another needle and I'll show you how to change it. All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and change our needle because I broke it. I broke it. So to change your needle, you will have a little bar, little knob, right? Something like this. You want to turn that knob. Sometimes there's a little indentation in here and your machine will have a little screw that you can use to turn your knob. You can also use a penny, put a penny in there to turn your knob. My knob, you can just turn. So I'm going to turn the knob. When you turn the knob, you want to hold that needle because you don't want that needle to drop down into the feed dogs. Okay, then you got to try to turn the machine upside down to get it out or take it in. Pull down. Here's my broken needle. Got it down. I'm replacing it with my new needle. You will notice that your needle has a flat side. See that? And a rounded side. Here's the rounded side. Here's the flat. You want the flat side of your needle always facing the back of the machine. Always facing the back of the machine. Put your needle right up in the hole. You'll be able to feel it. And you will feel when it stops moving up too. So you see how I can't go any higher than this? That's as high as it'll go. Push your needle in and then turn your knob really tightly and your needle is in place. Go ahead and thread your machine back like normal. Some machines will have a little window up top right here where you can actually see the needle hit the bar, see the needle stop. Okay. All right, so let's try this again. I am going to manually turn my hand crank to clear this little zipper pull here. Well, oh, I probably should have did a tester, huh? Well, we're in it now. The joys of live sewing. I should have made sure that it's going to stay. Ooh. Okay, that's telling me something's wrong. So, bird's nest. So, I'm going to pull the bobbin out and put everything back in. This happens to you. All you want to do is go in, pull your bobbin out, look at the bobbin, make sure. Now, see that? Okay, let me show you. See this? That's why it's doing that. So, pull it out. I'm going to clear it. Get it back right. And then you're going to also just look in the bobbin case, make sure there are no loose threads because even the smallest thread in your bobbin case will cause your machine to get wonky. The smallest little bit of thread in there will cause your machine to act crazy. So it's appears to be all clear. Pop that back in there. I can cut it right here on the thread cutter and close up my little door. And this time we will do a tester. Where's my little scrap? I'm gonna hand crank it just to make sure it clears that bar. And I'm able to lock it. And so it's sewing fine now. All right, so we should be able to try it again. Again, get that needle under there. See if I can kind of hold that zipper pull out of the way. All right, we're finally, this so long is going through a lot of phenomenal information to help. Oh, good. I know, Dory, this is the fun part about doing live sewing, because you know you can troubleshoot right on the spot and look at things that need to be fixed and changed, you know, all kinds of stuff that you don't always get when you're looking at a nicely edited tutorial. Mistakes that are made and how to fix it, broken needles, all the things. This is like real life sewing, right? This isn't the glamorous side, all the curated Instagram, YouTube pics. This is real life in the jungle. All right, so we are finally able to go ahead and get our zipper stitched. You want to make sure as you are sewing zipper, especially a zipper like this with metal teeth, you want to make sure you do not hit those teeth at all, even by accident, because like you just saw, when my needle hit that bar, you will break a needle on those metal teeth. So I'm going to just stitch just slightly below my zipper stopper, which is right here, which means my pant isn't going to even open further than this. My zipper tape stops down here, and we'll probably end up cutting most of that off. So I'm just going to stitch a little bit past it. I'll back stitch, and now we're done. So let's take a look. All right, here we are. We've got our zipper attached to the right side of the fly. Let's cut our loose threads, front and back. All right. We are now going to end up, but I'm going to show you on the pattern, we're going to end up flipping our fly this way and doing another row of stitching. But let's read the pattern and make sure we're not messing up. All right, so fold the fly extension and the zipper under along the seam, revealing the 1/2 inch of fly extension next to the center front. Top stitch 1/8 of an inch to the left of the zipper on this fold, making sure not to catch anything but the zipper and the fly extension in the stitch line. So taking our zipper and turning it this way, okay? And then doing a top stitch right here, 1/8 of an inch away. Now, I'm trying to see, you guys tell me what you think. Should I put in my top stitching thread or should I just do this in my regular blue? You guys tell me. Tell me, what should I do? Switch over to top stitching thread or just do my regular blue? Remember, this is just the zipper inside of the zipper, and I'm going to be top stitching right here along this edge right here. So the question is, I've got to top stitch now along this edge of the zipper. Should I switch to top stitching thread or should I just do it in my regular blue? Because like this is going to be, you know, where the zipper opens and closes, you know, on the inside, nobody's going to really see it. but you guys tell me what to do. Turn it around. What do you mean turn around? Right side up? Or turn this around to the back side? So regular blue thread or put in top stitching thread? What do y'all think? Do the blue for now. Either top stitch on or Nicena. Nah. Okay. So we'll do the blue for now. All right. So now notice that we are going to do a top stitch over close to the edge of the zipper. But notice now my needle is on. Let me get this thread out of the way. There we go. My needle's on the left side. We will push our needle over to the right. Okay. Thank you so much, Monica and Dory. All right. So look, I'm pushing my needle all the way over to the right so that I can clear that opening on the right. And I've got to get that zipper pull out of the way. I'm going to hand crank it just to make sure it clears. I'm going to hold this zipper pull as well. And then I'm just going to go slow. I did a little back stitch, but notice how slow I'm going. All right, our zipper pull is out of the way. And I want to make sure I have a pretty even flat like seam right here. And so I'm just using my fingers to just make sure that everything stays nice and flat while I'm sewing. Again, for my newbies, be very careful doing this. Do not look up at the TV. Don't answer any questions from the kids while you're doing this, because it's very easy to get your finger accidentally under that needle. You got to answer any questions, just stop. Okay, now let me show you something I don't like. I'm not gonna fix it because we're live, but I don't like how I am moving away from my edge. See, I'm further away from my edge than I personally want to be. So I'm going to push it back. I'm going to push. If you are sewing and find yourself getting further away than you want, just guide your fabric back to where you want. I'm going to push this fabric till it gets back closer to the edge. See that? Now I'm back close to the edge. Like I said, I'm not going to fix it because we're live, but if we weren't live, I would have taken all that out and done it again. But this is how you can fix your fabric. If ever you get off, just guide it back to where you want it to be. So now you see I'm back close to this edge, and I'll show you up close in a second how far off I got. All right, I'm just going to do a little back stitch. Okay, so take a look. Now, if this was that top stitching thread, I definitely would have had to take it out because you could really, really see it. But with this blue, you're not going to be able to see it that well. Okay, I'm going to cut the loose thread, and then I'm going to bring you in close so you could try to see what I'm talking about. All right, let's get it in focus. There we go. So you see right here, I started close to the edge, right? It's really hard to see with this blue thread. I'm starting close to the edge. And then with the thickness of this denim and this zipper tape, you know, the needle, the zipper teeth and the needle are sliding off to the side. So you can see here as I go down, you can see really hard to see, but you can see the stitches start to move out, especially like right here. And then you can see right here where I'm starting to get back on track. Now, again, here's a good spot too. You see that little bubble that tells you how far my needle is to the left. But again, this right here, people are not going to see. It's not going to even be noticeable. You can't even see that blue thread, and I'm zooming in, and you can barely see it. However, if that was top stitching thread, I would have pulled it out and done it again because that would have been really, really visible. Okay. All right. So we have attached our zipper, got our zipper attached to the fly. Let's take a look and see what it says now. Now it tells us flip the zipper and fly extension back so it's lying flat against the other fly extension. So flip the zipper and fly extension back so that it is laying flat against the other fly extension. Okay. We've got it back. The zipper should now be to the left of the crotch seam. So zipper is on the left of the crotch seam. Let's make sure, look in the middle. Yep. Yep. Zipper's on the left of the crotch seam. Pin the left side of the zipper to the other fly extension. Be sure not to pin the front of the pants. Stitch close to the teeth of the zipper and then close to the edge of the zipper. Tape using a zipper foot to secure. So we've now got to do the same thing over here. We're going to pull the pant leg back and we are going to stitch on the fly close to the zipper teeth and then again on the zipper edge. Okay, let's make sure we're reading that right. Be sure not to pin the front of the pants. Front of the pants are out the way. Stitch close to the teeth of the zipper and then close to the edge. Yep. All right. The zipper. Okay. And using a zipper foot. Okay. So now we're going to pin. I'm going to flip it upside down. It's just more comfortable for me. So I'm going to flip this upside down and I'm going to sew that way. I'm going to go ahead and put my pins in. Just to keep it flat. All right. Now I've got to go back to the other. I have to move my needle back to the other side because we're going to stitch close to the zipper tape, zipper teeth first, and then we'll do the zipper edge. And I'm watching close to make sure I don't hit that stopper. Using my fingers to make sure everything under the bottom is out of the way. And then just stitching as close to the zipper teeth as I can. As we come up close to the zipper pull, and go real slow to make sure that I don't accidentally hit it. I will pull it to the side a little bit, try to make sure we clear it. All right. Now we're going to do this again on the edge of the zipper tape. So we're going to pull it back, come right down here to the edge, and we can flip our needle back to the right and then clear our little opening. All right. And now I'm stitching just close to the edge of the zipper pull, zipper tape. And I'm going to backstitch. All right. Now we should be back to some fun top stitching. So we're going to cut our loose threads. Anywhere we have them, anywhere we see them, go ahead and cut those. Okay. Now we should be about to top stitch, but let's read and make sure. All right. Turn the pants over so right side is facing up. Locate the bottom of the zipper stop. Place the provided top stitching guide a 1/2 inch below this point, ensuring it covers the fly extension below. Trace a line along the edge of the top stitching guide with a removable marking tool. Make sure this line will catch the fly extension beneath. You'll be sewing another row of top stitching 1/4 inch inside of this line, so make sure both lines won't interfere with the zipper stop. All right, so we have our top stitching guide, which looks like this. So we are going to end up placing that guide right on top. So lining it up right with the seam like this. And we're going to pin it in place. So now you've got quite a few layers to get through. Might be better to pin on this outside edge because it's going to be thick. And be careful as you pin so you don't mess up your hand, hurt your fingers. All right, so now we want to flip back and make sure that our top stitching guide is below our zipper stop. So I'm going to put a pin right here through the bottom of my zipper pull to see. Okay. And there it is. Take a look. Can you see that? Hang on. See that? There's the bottom of my zipper pull. There's the pin coming up. And so my top stitching guide does lay further down than the bottom of my zipper pull, or zipper stopper rather. Now this instructions tell us to make sure that it stops approximately a 1/2 inch below that point, ensuring that it covers the fly extension. I'm going to leave mine this long. This might be a little bit too long, but I'm going to leave it. My fly extension is down here. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let mine go ahead and be this long. Okay. Now let me pull this pin out since I know that it's going to work. And I'm going to use some chalk. I'm going to use my chalk roller to give me the guideline, because I don't have my white. Or wait a minute, maybe I do. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna bring my chalk roller anyway, just in case. All right, so let's see if I can get a nice guide with this chalk. So this is a chalk pencil by Soline. Soline. It's a white chalk pencil. And I'm just going to mark out the outer edge of this guide. This is going to be my initial guide. And let me grab this little piece. And then we're going to try to even it out. And make it smooth. And carefully come around this curve. Right? Okay, there we go. So let's take this off and see what we got. We got a good little line there. We got a good little line. If you want, you can use your ruler to even it out if you think it needs it. But I think that's pretty good. So we're going to top stitch following this line. Then we're going to do another row of top stitching directly inside of that. This is my chalk roller. I love this little thing. Okay, so here's a fun little hack. This stuff here, you use chalk, right? If you have this little gadget here, when you run out of chalk, you have to buy another little bottle of chalk and you pour the chalk inside. Listen, people, you're going to pay $6, $7, $8, $9 for that little bottle of chalk. Don't do it. You make your own. So I made this chalk maybe 2014. This is how you make it. I went to the dollar store. You buy a very small bottle of baby powder, Johnson & Johnson, the little one, like the little travel one about this big. You take the baby powder, pour it into a bowl. You mix a couple of drops of food coloring, whatever food coloring you want. So you can make your chalk whatever color, blue, pink, purple, whatever. I chose yellow. You put the food coloring in the chalk, you mix it around. YouTube, Twitch, listen in. You mix it around, right? Mix it good. You don't want it to be runny, but you want it to be like moist. It's gonna like a paste. It's gonna be pasty. Leave it out to dry 24 hours, 48 hours. If for some reason it is still pasty, put it in the oven at like 200 so that it dries out. What you want is for the chalk to turn to crack. You don't want it to be pasty. You want it to be dry, but it's going to crack. When you see it all cracky at the top, it's ready. If it is pasty, it's still too wet. If it is cracky, it's ready. You can take a fork, a spoon, whatever, and break it up, and it will be colored powder. And that is what this is. I made a little, like literally, a little jar of it in 2015 when I first started sewing, and I'm still using it. It is what I still use today, this little jar. So you never have to buy that. You can always make it. You can make whatever color you want. All you're doing is using your food coloring. And so I probably shouldn't even do this on the front. It might be hard to pop off. I normally pop it off with something, but I'll show y'all real quick. If I can get it quick. See? I'm just now getting to the bottom. I've used this stuff for years. And if I can try to show you, see it? Just chalk. You can use talcum powder, baby powder, and that's how you make chalk for chalk rollers. You don't ever buy those little $9 little tubes of chalk. All right. That's a little trick. Okay. So if you use a chalk roller, you can also use this, see? If you just carefully use a chalk roller, you can use that as well if you don't have a white chalk pencil. All right. So we are back to switching out our thread, going back over to our top stitching thread. Let's get, where's my, there we go. Struggling to pull my thread out. All right, there we go. I'm using my big spool here, so it's going everywhere. All righty. Okay, so, oh, I want to put my regular presser foot back on as well. Thread my needle. And we're going to top stitch. Okay, so now, we're doing the same thing that we have done all evening for our top stitching. First thing we're going to do is top stitch directly on our guideline. Let's increase our stitch length. Actually, let me see if I can pull up my, oh. Put that needle back at the center as well. Those of you that are watching, make sure if you want to be the first to hear about all of my upcoming online classes and my online free sew-alongs and free tutorials and my online courses and all of those things, make sure that you are on our mailing list. I will put it in the chat box here. I'll pull the information up and put it in the chat box, the link. And you can sign up and put live sew-alongs, join that particular mailing list, and then you will I'll add you. So if you are in a chat on YouTube or Twitch, you can click on that link and save that page so that you can register for the newsletter. So when we're coming around this curve, we're going to go slow and just simply turn the fabric as we sew. If you need to raise the presser foot a little bit, then just do that. You want to be very careful with the zipper, metal zipper teeth. So you want to make sure that your metal stopper is, you're past it. I know I'm past it because I showed you where my needle came out, but as you are going, you know, it's double, triple checking. Make sure, awesome, Dory B, you just make sure that you are past that stopper, because what you do not want to do, like I said, is stitch on that, hit those teeth. And you see how slow I'm going around this curve. All right, let's take a look at it. Cut our loose threads. All right, let's take a look. Then we're going to stitch again. Oh, that looks good. Get that chalk off. All right, so here's our first row of top stitching. We're going to do another one right inside it. Again, this is per our instructions here that tell us to trace along the edge of our guide. Make sure this line catches the flag stitch beneath. You will be sewing another row 1/4 of an inch inside the line. Okay, our instructions tell us that, and then we've got a visual right here. So for my newbies, like I said, look at your pictures, your pattern pictures. If you ever read something that you're like, oh my gosh, this makes no sense to me, what are they talking about? You can't get to me to ask a question or whatever. Look at your picture. Your picture will also help you to figure it out. Okay, so we're going to put another row of top stitching right inside this one. And what I'm going to do is let me cut these that top stitching bird nest that I told you sometimes happens. Let me get these off. All right, I'm going to use my pressure foot as a guide. I didn't catch my fly right there, so I will fix that with blue thread so it's not visible. Okay, but I'll show you that in a minute. So you see how my fly is sewn down over here? It caught. This top section did not catch. I'm going to show you how to fix that. All right, so I'm going to do, and actually it might fix right now with this extra row of top stitching. I'm going to use my presser foot as my guide. All right, as the outside of my guide, and make another row of stitches, top stitching right inside this line. Okay, so I'm feeling my zipper pull. I can feel it, and so I am going to try to get it done without hitting it. Now, here's the tricky part. Again, coming down on that curve and trying to keep everything even. What we want to do is just keep, can y'all see that? Keep the edge of that presser foot lined up with the edge of that stitching. And it doesn't matter how slow we got to go to do it. So you see how I'm turning my fabric and making sure that that presser foot stays lined up with the edge of that stitching. All right, let's take a look. And it did. That extra row of top stitching caught that section that wasn't down. So that's good. We're going to cut the loose threads back here. Cut the loose threads up top. And now we can lay it flat and take a look at the entire thing. Okay, that looks pretty good. Got a little wonky right there, but again, nobody's going to see that. All right. So that's our top stitching for the front of our jean. And now we can open up the basting stitch from the crotch seam. So we will take our seam ripper and gently remove our basting stitches. Remember that basting stitch I was telling you about from the beginning? In the beginning, remember I said I did it wrong and I had too much seam allowance? That basting stitch on our crotch area before we attached our zipper. And then we'll see our working zipper. Pull out all of those threads. Try to get them all. There we go. Be very careful and make sure, you see how I'm not kind of pulling on this because I'm not sure if that's a basting stitch. I think that's a regular stitch. All right. So now we can see, ta-da, our working zipper. Yay! Yay! Okay. So zipper's working. Thanks, Nicole. Yep, fly's looking good. Oh, these zipper teeth need some oil. That's the only thing about metal zippers. Thanks, Young Chance. Appreciate it. That's the only thing about metal zippers. Sometimes you got to work them. I heard someone say that they put soap. I've never tried that, but you put soap on metal zippers to get them to open and close smoothly when they're too stiff. All right. Okay. So there's our working zipper. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. Sit that for now. Let's look at our next step. Our next step is to install our fly shield. So we can put our jeans to the side. And get our fly shield, which is going to be pattern piece number J, or number. Pattern piece letter J. All right. Another little quick tip. Thanks, Monica. Another quick tip. If you are doing, your patterns, whatever the case may be, you're doing your patterns, and like big bulky pieces of your tissue paper, you can't get them back inside of your pattern envelope. All you have to do is iron it. So my iron is cold right now, but okay, let me show you. It's going to heat up, but let me show you. Okay, it's going to heat up now. Let me show you how your pattern, a regular pattern would look. So like you would take a big pattern and you would just fold it and press it and it would do this, right? A trick and a tip is to iron it. When you iron it, even the biggest, bulkiest pieces of pattern, they will lay completely flat. So now watch, you see how I'm doing this with my hands and it still kind of pops open. Watch when I iron it. So to get your pattern pieces back in the envelope, the way you took them out, nice and flat, you just press it with the iron. This is what I was talking about, Angel. Just press it with the iron and they will flatten all the way out. See how much thinner it is now? If you have a bulky pattern, hit that seam, that fold, and your pattern pieces will lay flat. See? And look how flat. They'll go right back in the pattern envelope, just like the way you took them out. All right, let's plug in our laptop so we don't lose power. Okay, so here's our fly shield. Pattern tells us to fold the fly shield right sides together, and sew along the short angled seam. Trim it to about 3/8 of an inch, and snip off the inside corner and flip it right side out and press. So we're going to take our fly shield and we're going to fold it right sides together. Right side, wrong side. We're going to fold it right sides together. I'm going to give it a little, just a little press so it stays flat. And we are going to stitch right along here. Okay. Now, this says stitch it and then trim it to 3/8. So we're going to stitch it at 5/8. That's our seam allowance. And then we will trim to 3/8. I hope I got to take that top stitching thread back out. Go back to my regular thread. Any questions while I'm doing this? Okay. We're all set and ready to stitch. So I'm going to put this under our machine, 5/8. Keep it lined up. Oh, put your machine back on a straight stitch, not a straight stitch, 2.5, because remember we had it a larger stitch length for our top stitching. Back stitch. Okay. So here we have our fly. Cut all the little loose threads, all the wild threads, get them out the way. And then you can see our picture here. We've got to cut off that corner. Let me bring it down so you can see better. We've got to cut off that corner. So we're just going to snip this corner, being careful not to touch your stitching line. Okay. So there it is. And we're going to take this down to 3/8. So that's going to be about right there. Let's see. Ooh, look at that. That was spot on. Ooh, I've done that a time or two. Okay. Now we want to turn this right side out and press. Okay. So we're going to flip this. right side out, and press. You can take some scissors and get in that little corner, poke it out best you can. All right, and now we're going to press this. Okay, so we've got it pressed. Our image looks just like our little picture here, or our real life work. Looks just like our little picture here. Okay, and now we're going to go to page 14. So one thing about denim, it just shreds, shreds, shreds. All right. Now, our instructions tell us to flip the jeans so the wrong side is facing up. Align the folded edge. So that's going to be this part. That's the folded edge. Here's our open edge. Align the folded edge of the fly shield to the left edge of the finished fly extension. Folded edge of the fly shield to the left edge of the finished fly extension. Pin it in place along the right extension. Ensure the bottom edge conceals the bottom of the fly. Stitch the shield in place along the right fly extension. Trim the excess from the right as needed, and then finish using a serger or bias tape. Flip the jeans to the right side and add your bar tacks. Okay, so turn the jeans to the wrong side. Line up the edge, the folded edge of our fly extension. Let me get that zipper up and out the way. Zipper pull. Align the folded edge of the fly extension to the edge of left edge of the fly. So our fly extension, this part here, is lined up. The folded edge is lined up against the left edge of the finished fly. This is our finished fly that our zipper is sitting on top of. Then we're going to pin at the right fly extension. So that right, this is what we have left on our right, this little piece here. We're going to stitch the shield in place along the right fly, and then we are going to finish the seam however we choose to finish the seam. So we've got a little bit of that right fly right there. We're going to go ahead and pin this in place right there. So again, be careful because the pins are, this with all the layers of denim and stuff is real thick, super thick. Make sure you're only pinning the fly extension and not the pant. Make sure you don't accidentally get the pant. And I'm going to mark where the bottom of my fly extension is. Okay, so I know where to stop. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to stitch straight down here, and then I'm going to stop right here because that's the bottom of my fly. And then we're going to finish this raw edge, okay? So I'm going to move everything out of the way so that I am only working on the fly and I'm not stitching through the actual pant. This is really thick, okay? So just go slow, double check and make sure that you're catching the fly. Put my needle down. And underneath, I am using my fingers to push, 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 and make sure that I am catching as much of the fly as I can. If for some reason you don't catch it all, you can always go back over it or hand stitch it. So don't let it, you know, discourage you or anything like that. It's no biggie. All right, I'm coming up to the bottom. Where I'm just going to backstitch right before that pin. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, we got it. All right, let's look again, make sure we're not missing anything. So we stitch the shield in place. Yep, yep, yep. Flip the jeans to the right side. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put this on our overcast stitch, and we will finish this raw edge of just the shield, just this part here. We have attached it to that fly extension there, okay? So it's attached there. We're now just going to finish. I'm going to do the overcast stitch here. This is where if you have a serger, you would serge your edge, or you can do the pinking shears. This is finishing the seam. All right, so I've got that done. And all of these extra little pieces here, I'm going to cut off. But that is what finishing the seam will do. It will help you to not have all these little flyaways, because once the little flyaways get up to where that stitching line is, it'll stop. So you'll have flyaways up to that point, and then the stitching line prevents it from fraying any further. Okay, now we're going to do some bar tacks. Bar tacks are the signature little tight little bar that you see at the bottom of jeans, like down here and down here. Those are bar tacks. The way you make a bar tack is you're going to make zigzag stitches, and they're going to be super close together. Now, my newbies, you want to grab some scrap to practice your bar tack before you actually do it. So we are going to take our regular thread out, put some top stitching thread in, Angel, you still there? You still hanging? All right. Top stitching thread is in. Okay. Now, bar tacks. We are going to turn our machine to a zigzag stitch, right? So actually, let's just go ahead and look at it. All right, so we're going to go to a zigzag stitch. Now, what we want to do is decrease the stitch length because we don't want our stitches long. We want them to stay in place. So we're going to decrease the length, and I'm going to maybe put it to like let's put it to 1.5. I think that's still too tight. Let's go to oh, that's still too tight. Let's go to 0.5. That looks better. And then your width, you might want your width to be tighter as well. So our width, you can see it's getting smaller. This one makes it a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to leave my width about right here. That's a 3.5. Okay. So my width is at a 3.5 and my length is at 0.5. Now let's take a look, and I'm on a zigzag stitch. I'm on number 2. Let's just take a look at this and see what this looks like on a sample and see if we like it. Here's the other thing. You want to drop your feed dogs. All right, let me get in close. You want to drop your feed dogs. For those that may not know, your feed dogs are these little jagged teeth that pull the fabric through the machine, okay? If you do not drop your feed dogs, your fabric is going to move a lot. If you don't want your fabric to move a lot, you drop your feed dogs. Now, this is if you want to make that bar tack right in place. So let me show you. I'm going to drop my feed dogs. You won't see them drop because you got to sew first. So my feed dogs are dropped. Let me show you what that looks like. It's going to stay right here in place. Okay. For those who want to, oh, it didn't even do a good one. Don't act like that. Be a good girl. Be a good girl and sew correctly. Oh, she doesn't want to do this because I'm staying in place. She wants to move. Okay, so you kind of see a little bit of what it looks like staying in place. It's going to give you a thread tack in the same position. This machine here is not going to work well with top stitching thread staying in the same position. So I'm going to raise my feed dogs back up, and it'll allow me to move forward a little bit. So this is what it looks like moving forward. So it depends on your preference. If you want a bar tack that stays right in place, just stays right there, boop, or if you want your bar tack to move a little bit. Mine will move a little bit. So All right. So here's mine after having moved a little bit. I like it. That will work. So for me, this is a stitch length of 0.5 and a stitch width of 3.5. I'm gonna bring my length down to 3.0 and just see the difference, making it just a little bit tighter. So this is a 3.0 stitch length. Let me see if I like that one better. Nah, I don't like this one better. I'm gonna go back to the 5.0. Okay, so now there's my sample. And my book tells me to put my bar tack. There's one on this outer edge. And the book also has the bar tack moving. Okay, so if you want to follow exactly like the book, don't drop your feed dogs. If you prefer to have just a little tack in the same spot, you can drop your feed dogs. Matter of personal preference. My newbies, follow the book. Don't drop your feed dogs. There's a bar tack on the curve, the top of the curve on the outer top stitching line, and at the bottom of the curve and the inner top stitching line. So we're just going to do that same thing, that same exact thing. So outside curve towards the bottom, and maybe we'll just start right here and cover this little wonky stitch right there. Maybe we'll just cover that. All right. So I'm going to I'm going to make the stitch sit right in between my needle. So it's right, the stitch is right smack dab in the middle. And then we'll give it a little go. I'm gonna look and see if I like it that long, and I do. And there it is. So I'm gonna cut. Remember, my machine does not like the automatic thread cutter being used for the top stitching thread. It's just too thick and it will jam. So on the back, just cutting my loose threads. We're going to do the same thing on that little top edge. I've got my stitch right in the middle. And we're going to do the same thing. We're on the inside row now. I'll get that later. All right, here we go. Let's see if I like where it is. And I do. I think I can do a little more. And here we have it. All right, let's take a look. My second one isn't as good, but it works. Thanks, Nicole. So those are our bar tacks, and that's how you make them. Okay, so now we will add the back yoke. So we attach our back yoke to the back leg for each side. So we are finished with our front side for right now. Yay! This is what the front side looks like so far. Okay, so what the front side of our jeans look like so far. Okay. We got our bar tacks, got our pockets. We've got a really cool inside of our pocket. Okay, really cool fabric on the inside of our pocket. We've got a functioning zipper. Okay, that now has its fly shield attached to it as well. Okay. And we can put this to the side and work on the back. So, questions? Any questions? Any questions? Let me know. Look, can you see her? This is Chloe. Can you kind of see that? Thanks, Nicole. Yeah, once you start making your own jeans, I'm telling you, you'll never go back to um store-bought because they just fit so well, especially once you get the fit together. So for my newbies, do not be discouraged if after we finish these jeans, you're like, they don't fit great or they're not the best or whatever, because it'll take some time to get the fit right. I made them before, and so I know the adjustments that needed to be made for me. When we finish adding the yoke right before we put the waistband on, you're going to be trying them on. And that is where you will make adjustments if adjustments need to be made. Okay. I'm going to take I'll show you on this big piece how you can make your pattern pieces nice and flat. How I told you, remember I told you iron your pattern pieces? I'll show you on this big one how the iron makes it nice and flat. Is Angel still there or is Angel gone? Angel's gone. All right, so I got my pattern piece off and I'm going to just fold it up. To put it back in the pattern, right? It never ever goes nicely back into the pattern. It's always kind of bulky, right? This is normally as flat as you can get it, right? So this is normally it. But if you iron it, you can get it to go nice and super duper flat. See? And I can even turn it again if I wanted to. And now this will sit flat like that inside of the pattern envelope. All right. So we are to take the back of our jeans now and add the yoke. So with right sides together, we sew the yoke to the back leg, the long end of the yoke at center back, and finish with a zigzag, serge, or flat fell seam. You're going to press the seam down toward the pant, do 2 rows of top stitching, and repeat that for both sides. So here is the yoke. This is the last thing we'll do for today. Then we will be back next Friday night to continue working on our jeans. All right. So we've got our pattern piece here. If you ever get stuck looking at the pattern pieces like, wait, which way does it go? Does it go up this way or does it go down? Like which way? Pay attention to the markings. You see these little notches? This shows us that there are notches on this pattern piece. If you transferred your markings properly, you're going to find those notches. And so we know that the notches will go towards the top of the pant. Let's find the notches. No notches on this side. There are the notches. So now we know that this is going to lay on the pant this way. Okay. And the same thing with this one. There's the notches. It's going to lay on the pant that way. So we'll take our back pant leg and look, the back pant leg also has notches. So we know which piece to put with which pant, which side, which yoke piece. Here's my notches. And on this pant piece, the notch is on the left. So I know that this is not for this pant leg. It's going to go for the next one. Here is the notches for on this side. So I know that I can line my my pieces together and they're going to be right sides together. So we are laying them right sides together. And so we can line up our notches. Pin in place. Now, you see that my yoke here is like longer than my pant piece. You want to ease that in. So what I do when that happens is I will do the end first, line those ends up, get those ends perfectly aligned and pin in place. Then I will ease the fabric by gently using my fingers and kind of pulling and pressing, getting those edges flat, and then pin the inside. That way everything stays nice and flat, and that which appeared to not fit or be too big will actually now fit. That's also a trick that you can use when you're doing a sleeve. You ease in the arm side. Okay. So I've got this piece done. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other leg, and then we will attach it, and then we will work on the top stitching for it next week. Any questions? All righty, I am going to switch over to my regular thread, stitch this down, and our Saturday night sew will be complete. All right, so got both of these pieces stitched. I'm just going to sew right across, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Taking out my top stitching thread. and putting my regular thread back in. Make sure you put your machine back on a straight stitch because we just came off of that bar tacking. So put your machine back on a straight stitch. And we will go ahead and attach our back yokes. We're doing 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And back stitching at the beginning and the end. Ooh, something doesn't sound right. Yeah, she's doing a bird's nest. So let's take everything out. Anytime you see a bird's nest, just pull out. Oh, see how easy that bobbin popped out? That shouldn't have happened. Let's just take everything out. Put her back in to just reset it. And then let's see down here. Trying to see what caused it. It looks like a little piece of the the fraying on the edge of the jean got caught up in it is what it's looking like. All right. So we should be able to pick up right where we left off. From backstitch again. Yeah. Backstitch at the very end. Same thing with this piece here, which is the other back pant leg. All right. Now, all we have to do is press this down toward the pants. So this seam allowance here is going to press downward. Okay. And next Friday, we will start our top stitching. But this seam allowance will press down. So I'll go ahead and press this down. And then we will see y'all next week. Now, if you are making the ginger jeans, if you're doing it at home, feel free to message me if you get stuck, if you get lost, if you have questions. You can email me. Email is right there on the screen, or you can text me in the studio, and I will gladly help you. The number's on the screen, 972-878-9781. Text me here in the studio, and I will gladly help you. If you need any assistance, get help, or get stuck, anything like that, just let me know. Any final questions before we end our Saturday night show? Questions? Anybody? Everybody good? Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me last night, tonight, learning how to make jeans. I love this kind of stuff. This is fun for me. This is like my idea of a good Friday night, a good Saturday night. Let's see. Any questions? No? I know there's a little delay sometimes on Twitch. All right. If there are no questions, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a great week next week. And I will see y'all next Friday as we continue sewing our ginger jeans. Thanks for hanging. It's Mia at the Couture Beauty and Sewing Academy. See y'all next week. Bye.